never give up. You're about to listen to the Darla Z, live from the Hollywood Room on the Bootleggers Music Group Radio. Award-winning singer-songwriter Darla Z brings you her special guests who share intimate stories about their lives, how they became successful in their chosen fields, how they learned from their mistakes, and how we can all make a positive difference in the lives of others. Welcome to Live from the Hollywood Room with your host, Darla Z.
His list of accomplishments is incredible. When he was 25, he opened up a business and then sold it later. He's a star of multiple TV shows and very successful TV shows. He's an entrepreneur. He has a global brand that people love. And he is a certified police officer, fireman, and an EMT.
I was way back then. But please keep the comments coming.
I mean, this guy has done everything, and his name is RichardRawlings. Welcome to the show, Richard.
Thank you, Darla Z. This is pretty awesome. It was very easy, too, because I got to do it here at my own shop. So,
Well, and I got to come and visit. Oh my gosh, his inventory of cars here is just literally incredible. So I've known Richard a while, and he's a remarkable man, and his marketing prowess is very, very wonderful. The way that you understand a brand, know how to move it, and so we're going to get into that in a little bit, but what I'd kind of like to know is like your beginning part, where you came from, where you were born, anything, what made you in your life experiences as you were growing up the person that you are today.
Well, hopefully I'm still becoming the person that I'm supposed to be, but
I understand that.
You know, I was born in Fort Worth, just down the way here, and so I've always been in Dallas-Fort Worth my whole life. And came from very humble, if not really shitty, poor side of the tracks type stuff, but that taught me a lot, and I still use a lot of those lessons today. My dad worked 3 jobs, sometimes 4 a day. You know, he would get up in the morning and get up and and then go to his main job, and then go to a part-time job, and then sometimes even a late night job. And he instilled in me my work ethic, and also instilled in me, don't ever work this hard, Richard. Get a good job. Get a good job with benefits and pay. And my dad didn't even finish high school, and luckily I barely got out of high school. I don't think they wanted me to come back, so they went ahead and gave me that little piece of paper. But from there, I thought I always wanted to be a police officer. That's a good job. It has good benefits. You got all the stuff you need, 401k and insurance and what have you. So I tried to become a police officer, and I went to the academy and got my sheet there, and then I was trying to apply in Coppell, Texas, just up the street, and I turned in the packet. Back then it wasn't electronic. You had to go make all these copies, and it was like 2 inches thick of everything that I'd ever done as a kid. They say your permanent record. Well, your permanent record by the time I was 18 was pretty thick. And
you can only imagine.
Exactly. So I noticed on the bulletin board that they were also taking applications for police officer. I noticed on the bulletin board that they were also taking applications for firefighter. And I read through the requirements, and I was like, it's the same. So went out, made another Xerox copy of that big piece of bulk of paper, and turned in both. And ended up getting hired at the fire department, and they put me through the academy there and EMT school, whatever you want to call it. And the next thing you know, I'm not even old enough to buy a beer. I'm carrying 2 badges and an EMT patch on my arm. So it was pretty cool. It was definitely a good job with great benefits. And so I did that for quite a while, I guess, till I was about 25 or 26, like you said.
And then you came up with the promo wipes.
Yeah, that was just something a little funny because...
that was cool.
Well, yeah, but I was the young kid at the fire department, always talking about how I'm going to make some money one day, and I'm going to, always trying to jockey for a position of how I'm going to make some extra money on my time off or whatever. And I remember one of my fire captains told me, he goes, Richard, you got to get like the rest of us. And these guys were all like 40s and 50s.
Yeah. He
goes, just give up now, Richard. Get a plus size.
That's not your nature.
Yeah, he goes, get a plus size wife and a bass boat. You'll be fine. And I said,
that's not your nature.
That's not my nature either.
I've seen your women.
So I said, you know what? I gotta leave. He goes, what do you mean? It was a beautiful Saturday afternoon. And he goes, what do you mean? And I said, I just got to go. If I don't get out of here, I'll never get out of here. And we talked about it for a while, and I think I probably made enough mistakes that they could borderline get me out of there anyway. So we got out of that.
You took off for California?
Yeah, I did. I took off for California. I'd never been. I'd always been super clean cut, no tattoos, anything. And my dad hated tattoos. I used to get in trouble for the little lick 'em, stick 'em things from the Cracker Jack box.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Dad would be like, get that stuff off you. And so I went out there thinking I'd be gone a couple of weeks, get my head straight. And I somehow, in a blur of nothingness, I don't remember half the trip. I got back about 6 months later. And
wait a minute. You picked up that guy in Arizona.
I did pick up.
And I read that. I couldn't. He's got an
book.
autobiography. I forgot to mention that. But he picked up a dude at a gas station, and you called him the dude.
Well, he was trying to hustle me for some money or a ride, and I was fairly street smart, so I was like, well, which way are you going? He was like, I'm going that way, and I was like, oh man, I'm going this way. And he's like, I'll go that way too.
Yeah, I bet.
And I said, well, you got a driver's license? He goes, yeah. I said, you got any money to pay your way? He goes, yeah. And I said, all right, if you teach me how to hustle money at the gas stations, I'll let you ride, but you got to do some of the driving. And turned out to be a pretty cool cap. We just drove around aimlessly and drank beer at the wherever we stopped for the night, and just a different dude. He pierced this ear. That was kind of the start of that whole thing.
Yeah, and you can still stick an
you
ear
can. I
in.
can still wear my Mr. Cleans, from the early '90s, and I wouldn't know the guy if he walked in here right now. We pulled up on Sunset Boulevard.
I wonder if he watches you on TV.
Who knows? He might not remember me, but it was a perfect day again, and we pull up on Sunset, and this girl pulls up beside us, and I was like, "Hey, how you doing?" And she's like, "Oh," and I said, "Hey, how about I buy you a drink later?" And she's like, "Well, I've got to make this appointment, but I'll meet you at so and so in a couple hours." And I was like, "Cool." And he was already in the act of grabbing his bag. He was like, "See you later, man." I was like, "All right, cool." But I came back all tattooed up, long hairs and earrings, and my dad this was probably one of the first times I saw my dad cry, because he was like, "You've thrown your life away. Nobody's gonna hire you with all those tattoos on your head, and you don't know what you're doing." And but we worked through it. Got into printing and advertising. That's where the promo wipes thing came from.
Well, that was brilliant, because no one else had that concept.
They didn't. And back then, you went to a car wash, full service car wash, and you get a plastic bag, and you put it on your radio knob. And the lady would, it had all the advertisements on it. They did that since probably the 50s. And I was like, "Lady, I need a towel to wipe the spots off my car." Long story short, I was leaving, and I was like, "Well, they do the same concept, print on the towel, and be able to wipe your car off," because my car at that time didn't even have a radio knob. So it was a cool little thing, but it got me into printing and advertising, and that's where I kind of found my niche. I found that I was a good marketer, a good salesman. I could understand the problem pretty quickly and find a way to solve it. So I succeeded pretty well in that. I was doing good.
Well, so I have to say that I was very impressed with your first sales job. Why don't you tell the audience?
Well, we're backing up a little bit before I got into printing, but my first actual sales job,
this is great.
Besides being a paperboy when I was a kid, was a company called AJ Indoor. A friend of mine now, just a guy that had a company back then named Tony Jacobson, and he had invented this thing where you had your digital printer, and he could print 4 or 5 ads on one 11 by 17 sheet and put it over the urinal or on the back of the bathroom door for the ladies. And I'm like, he's hiring salespeople, so I go in and he explains to me what it is, and I'm like, wait a second, you want me to go into bars and restaurants and ask if I can advertise on the bathroom wall? And he's like, yeah, I'll show you how to do it. And I was so enamored that he put me in the car, we went and did cold calls, and he was able to walk over any of their excuses and show the restaurant tour or the manager or whatever how to make money on these ads that he's going to place in there. He's still doing it to this day, except for it's all digital.
Yeah.
And so, if you walk into a restroom at a public place and there's an ad there, odds are Tony's behind it.
All right, and that's your first guy that was helping you with sales, but you've had a knack for it forever. I mean, that's the way you think.
I do. There's salespeople, and they get kind of categorized as, you know, these sleazy guys always trying to get one up on you or sell you something. And I'm more about solving the problem. What do you need? How do we make that happen in the most efficient way and the best way? And I think that's what made me good at what I was doing for such a long time. And I'm still doing it today. You know, I'm still out there, you know, speaking the gospel of Gas Monkey across everywhere and anybody that listens to it.
Well, you know, I got a question. Like, what is the biggest challenge you've had in your life and that you overcome or overcame?
Can we just say life?
Yeah.
I mean, every day is a challenge, but I think that my biggest challenge in life that I've overcome, there's been quite a few challenges along the way. I've been dead broke more times than I can count, and you know, somehow dug my way out of that hole. And you know, as far as
that's because you didn't give up.
I don't give up. I don't look at them as challenges. I look at them as obstacles, and you know, you can't go around an obstacle. You have to go over it. So I don't know that I have any more or any less challenges that I've overcome. I've been fortunate with my health, and I know that that's a big challenge for a lot of people. But you know, watching my dad decline has been pretty rough, and being able to take care of him is probably one of my most proud moments. I mean, a lot of people ask, you know, what have you achieved? You know, and I'm like, I'm in a position where I can take care of my father in the position that he's in. So I don't know how to answer the obstacle question.
Well, and you know, when you brought up your dad, that was one thing that you said he had instilled in you in your book, and I am quoting your book again because it's really good and you need to read it. But he said that you should always respect elders.
Oh yeah. And
respect your family, and I love that. And I happen to take care of my mom, and I think it's wonderful that that's important to you, and that's something that he gave you.
My dad was pretty strict. I don't know if he gave it to me, if he beat it into me. But you know, that was the 70s. You could do that back then. And,
True.
So I say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am, and I open the door and I stand up when the lady stands up. And
that's wonderful. That's dad. It's not common. My husband's that way, myself, but wow, it's not common for men to be that way in this society now, and I commend you for that. Well,
I don't know if it's commendable or if it just needs to be brought back to the forefront.
Yes, I agree. Okay, so now my next question is, like, what's the riskiest thing you've ever done that ended up being great?
Unprotected sex. I mean, I have a son now. But no, seriously, taking a risk on Gas Monkey. I had a very successful printing company, an advertising firm. I was doing really well. I had a guy that was really beating down my door trying to buy it, and I thought of Gas Monkey, and I was watching the shows.
You mean you thought of the concept?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I was watching the shows that were on Discovery at the time, and it was a bunch of bravado and guys with bandanas down to here and pit bulls on chains and cussing and yelling at each other and all this stuff. So at the time I asked my wife, and I said, you know, why don't you watch these shows with me? They're great, you know, it's motorcycles and mayhem. And they're like, she goes, that's horrible. I don't want St. John watching it. You know, my stepson, she goes, you know, we're just not watching that. And it kind of a light bulb moment. I was like, you know, my dad always had cars and motorcycles around, and his friends did too. And that wasn't the way we grew up. You know, it was camaraderie and community, and you know, the moms are making ham sandwiches on Sunday afternoon, and the dads are out there tinkering and doing burnouts and showing off for the kids, and I'm riding my little bitty motorcycle and stuff, and what have you. So I thought of, why couldn't I make a show that's still a lot of fun and still shop and it's still drinking beer and doing burnouts and having a good time, but also family oriented, the way that it should be and the way that it is already 99% of the world. And so I told my wife the next morning about this great idea I had, and she says, so you're just going to sell everything that you got going on, and you're going to go over here and you're going to get on TV and be a TV star and build a brand. And I was like, well, as we say in Texas, hold my beer and watch this. And it really was kind of that moment of, oh, you don't think I can? And I'm like, I've been selling and building and designing and marketing brands for everybody else. Why not do it for myself? So off started the Gas Monkey venture, and it's been a hell of a ride. As a matter of fact, this is our 20-year anniversary this year.
All right,
And,
congratulations.
well, it's been a lot of fun and a lot of headache, and a lot of times I wanted to quit, and a lot of times I was popping champagne and having a good time. So I think that's what life and business is in general. But it was a hell of a chance. Back to your original question, it was a lot of people think that I started with a huge amount of money. I did not. It was maybe a little over $100,000. I just wouldn't give up and kept pushing and kept pushing. I believed in where I was going, what I was doing. A lot of people also think that I just got lucky and got discovered by discovery, and they put me on TV.
You put in so much work.
Me and Aaron shot our own sizzle reels. We did all the work. I would go to Hollywood and knock on doors and get turned down time and time again. And it's not much different than the music business. You make your demo and you go around and bang on doors, and you get told no a lot. And a few times I got told yes, and so I'm popping champagne. The next thing I know, somebody in management changed, and or the whole thing toppled like Chutes and Ladders, and then I'm back at the bottom again, trying to go bang on doors. So it was a hell of a ride.
Yeah. Well, I love your show. I love what's on YouTube now. We're not going to get to there yet. So, Richard, was there ever a time in your life that you were so down and out and you wanted to give up, and your inner drive forced you to keep going, and something turned around great? Or
Well, yeah, I mean, middle school, high school.
Well, I understand that. I understand that. Oh, yeah, I do.
But seriously, after police and fire, I was on my own I went into police academy at 18 years old, so it was pretty different, and I'd never been there, so it was a very scary place to be. I was waiting tables, I was taking odd jobs, I was mowing yard, anything I could do to make ends meet. My dad I didn't move back home or anything like that. I had to go figure out how to do all that, and stupidly I went out west and wasted every dollar I had. And the night I got back, they repoed my Jeep from my sister's house, and so that was a difficult time trying to figure out what I was going to do and how I was going to do it. And then I think the rest of it was normal business, but there was a couple of times when I started Gas Monkey in the first 7 or 8 years that I wanted to give up. I wanted to go back to printing and advertising. I wanted to just shut it down. And when you're dead broke and you're having to go to your wife at the time and borrow $1,000 to make payroll, which doesn't even include a check for yourself, because she was very successful. That'll get you. That'll humble you real quick. And then when I finally got the show, I almost didn't do it.
And why is that?
It was 8 years in. I didn't think it would have taken that long. They called me up. They said, we're going to do the show. And I'm like, yeah. And then they said, we'll give you 6 episodes. And I was like, that's not enough to prove my concept. That's not enough of Gas Monkey out there to make sure that people understand what it is and that it's cool and this is, And so I struggled with it, and I asked my wife at the time, I said, I don't think it's enough. And I was already kind of starting to push Gas Monkey away and looking for other ventures. And she says, if you don't do it, if you don't try, you'll never know. And I said, yeah, but you know me, if I try, I'm going to put everything I got in it. And she goes, good, because it's everything that you have, because we kept our finances separate. And I said, yeah. And she goes, you got to do it. So here we are, But that was a hard one to do. I think without her advice, I would have turned it down. I didn't think it was enough.
Yeah, that's so you ended up going with the 6 deal, and then after that, then they decided to add on.
No, it was I had the forethought to not listen to the producers and the people that they put in front of me. I knew they needed to make television, but I knew I needed to make something that people would be attached to. So it was a struggle, those first 6 episodes, but before we even finished the 6, they had seen 3, mm-hmm. and they ordered 12 more. And after the first 6 played on television, they ordered 24.
Yeah.
And so it just snowballed from there. And so I clashed heads a lot and with the people at Discovery and the producers and what have you, because they're like, oh, we need this, or we need you to do that. And I was like, no, that's all the reason the TV sucks right now. Yeah. That's all, or at least my genre of television, motor or automotive motorcycle. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to go kick a box or wear a bandana or drag a pit bull around on a chain. That's not my style. And so we fought quite a bit, but I was able to put into the can, so to speak, what I wanted the public to see. Your vision. The vision of the show, and they had no choice but to make it that way. Yeah. Although they tried like hell not to. But it's like I said. Well,
they ought to think that they're like stars.
Yeah, I chased them for 8 years, telling them this is cool, and they're like, oh, nobody wants to watch car builds. It takes too long. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. We're going to see this rock'em sock'em robot crap with motorcycle dudes. And I was like, no, they want to. So after 8 years, they finally relinquish and go, yeah, let's do it. And then, after the first 6 episode plays, they are patting themselves on the back for what geniuses they are for creating it all in the first place.
I love that. So now you've got on YouTube, you've got millions of followers. You're doing, I love them, and they're so funny, and you've got some great wit to you that people may not, well, I think they probably do realize it because they see you, but you're just a fun guy.
Well, if you go back and you watch the end in a couple of years of Fast and Loud, you can tell I was burned, and I wanted to change it. I wanted to change the concept. I wanted it to get better. I wanted it to grow, and I was just stuck in this rut. And so therefore I started wanting to get away from Discovery so I could go do what I wanted to do. And one thing leads to another, and the breakup was horrible, and everybody's mad at each other, and everybody hates each other. But I was able to finally get away, get out of the contracts, and get back to being Richard. And now we're on YouTube doing the things that we want to do and showing what I think the people want to see, because Fast and Loud got very rhythmic, just the same thing every time, same thing. Buy a car, fix a car, sell a car. And now we're just all over showing what we do. And it's a lot more fun. You can tell that I'm actually having fun for the first time in a long time, and it's the growth has been insane.
Yeah, it is. Instagram, everywhere. Twitter, where can they get you?
Everywhere. Every social media platform there is. We have like 35+ million followers across all platforms, we're getting more viewers on our YouTube videos than we were getting on Discovery prime time. Yeah, back before COVID. So I haven't made an episode for Discovery in probably over 5 years, and we're still the #1 automotive motorcycle lifestyle show in the world. 100 countries, translated into 20+ languages. The brand is kicking on all cylinders. Restaurants are opening back up, just all kinds of things.
And they're still patting themselves on the back.
Oh yes, they're still the geniuses that thought of it all. And what have you. But then again, cable's a little different now. I don't think there's any geniuses left in that building.
You know what? I agree with you. It's a whole new world. It's a whole new world in the music industry too. I mean, you don't have albums; you have streaming. It's very different.
I barely understand YouTube. I try to pay attention to all the things that are going on, but I'm 55. I think I'm on the iPhone 16 or 15 or whatever it is, and I don't think I'm moving from there. I'm not moving on up the food chain on the phone and stuff. I'm going to stay right where I'm comfortable.
Well, I think you're doing something right, so you must be okay.
Well, I think it's my wifey. I met my new lady about 6 years ago.
Katarina, what a beauty.
She not only beautiful on the outside, but inside, and just I didn't think that ladies like that existed, or they were taken, like yourself, Miss Z. But no, it's been a life-changing relationship, and I couldn't be more happier. And
it shows.
Yeah.
It shows on your face, and you do look happy. And I'm very happy for you. And I do know Katarina, and she is an incredible woman, and strong and smart and no nonsense, and that kind of goes with you.
Yeah, she's also 100% Greek, and I gotta keep myself in line, or I'll get a spoon upside the
head. So let me ask you this: if you were to talk to a young Richard, okay, right now, and you'd say, and he comes to you and he says, "Man, I need help building my brand. You're so successful. What is your secret to success, or what would you advise this kid that has it all but doesn't know where to start?
I get this question quite a bit, and I think that the essence of the secret to success is if you believe in what you're doing, then the secret is don't stop. Keep going. You're gonna fall down. You're gonna get beat in the face. The door's gonna slam. All of those kind of things. But if you truly believe in what you're doing, then just keep going. And because people told me with Gas Monkey that it could never happen. You're climbing an impossible hill. It'll never work. And I just wouldn't stop. And
so you had a lot of naysayers in your life.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
They still say I can't do it.
Hello. So, is there like a dream that you have? Like, I'm going to make movies. Okay, that's my last thing. So, is there a dream that you have that you have not accomplished yet, but you know you will?
Well, yeah, probably two pieces of a dream. One, I want to put Gas Monkey barn grills and Gas Monkey product all over the place. I want it to be a legacy that my kids can enjoy and their kids can enjoy. And we're well on our way to having something like that with
sure are.
The amount of episodes we've made and things like that. But I also would like to leave the world a little better than I found it. And so we're trying to do some good deeds with Alzheimer's and things like that.
That's wonderful and so needed.
It is. But when it comes to charitable contributions and things like that, sometimes they can go down a black hole. So sometimes you have to take the small battles, and so I like doing things directly with a family or directly with people that I can see the benefit and I can understand it, because I think that no matter what you believe in and how you want to donate your money, that's a great thing to do.
Yes.
But it's very hard to see some of these big foundations and these big companies take all this money and waste it on over.
Or the salaries are $10 million.
Yeah, it's pretty saddening to me. So with Gas Monkey Foundation, we do a lot of good things very, very directly. And then I'd like to just ride off into the sunset one day on my own terms. Take my lovely wife and maybe get a big boat and go around the world and see all the things that I haven't got to see because I've been working literally every day since I was 12.
Yeah.
So I haven't had the opportunity to do some of that.
So, but other things that you enjoy, and I know this firsthand, you like to cook.
Oh, I thought you were going to say drink.
Well, I knew that, and that's not a secret.
Yeah, well, I do like to cook, and that's why I'm in the restaurant space and in the restaurant and bar space. So I love cooking.
What's your best dish?
Pretty much anything. Italian. I'm really good on the grill because I'm from Texas, obviously, so barbecue and things like that. I'm getting real into traditional different cuisines like northern Mexico or southern Mexico, or it's so diverse. It really is where you're from. I use the Houston Dallas example all the time. The barbecue and the Tex-Mex that Houston thinks that they have the best in the world. We're only 3 hours away, and we think we have the best in the world. But truth they're completely different. Yeah. So I think that there's if there is something out there for me, maybe I see this different, this joint Bourdain, Guy Fieri, RichardRawlings type character running around, seeing the world and eating all the different foods, and then coming back here to my test kitchen and trying to figure out how to make it, but make it my way.
I love that, and I, as a person who loves to cook as well, it's a fun thing, and it's a creative outlet where, I think it's fun, don't you, to like go into your cupboard and just start grabbing stuff and create.
Correct. My wife does not cook whatsoever, and
she doesn't have to. When you look like that, you don't have to.
I think it's because she doesn't eat. Now she eats a lot, but no. So I do all the cooking. She's not allowed to go to the grocery store. I do all of that also.
Wow.
And
she's got you trained.
She does. And but it's really cool because she'll be amazed. She'll sit there and have a cocktail or whatever, and I'll be in there just grabbing this, grabbing that, grabbing this, and she's like, "How did you do that?" And I'm like, "I don't know. It's just I think it was out of necessity because when you grew up on the little box of spaghetti or the can of SpaghettiOs or the little frozen pizzas that were this big, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. And then you learn how to cook, or you're not going to survive.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I look forward to one day trying your food.
Come on. We're fixing to do a mess hall here probably right after this summer. I'm going to have something pretty cool cooking up here on location. That should be a lot of fun.
Oh, good. Well, and we're going to now look around your joint and check things out. You're going to show us some of your babies.
There's a lot to see here.
Yeah, and there's like, I don't know, all of them. I want them all.
Well, they can all be had because everything's for sale. If you see something in this video you like, give me a call.
And you know how to reach him.
That's right. Just GasMonkeyGarage.com. I hide in plain sight. Easy to happen. So
what's the YouTube channel that you have that you just blown up?
Just go to YouTube and it's Gas Monkey Garage there, and of course Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever. It's all Gas Monkey Garage or RichardRawlings and what have you. So we have tours here every Monday and Fridays at lunch. We had about 200 people come through here today because it's a Monday, and we have a good time.
Well, I'm going to have a good time looking at your inventory.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for coming down and doing this.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's just an honor, so I'm very excited.
It's no honor. Come on. All right, so thank you guys. If you're not paying attention to Darla Z Show, then, well, just don't pay attention to anything else because you don't have the brain span for it. And where do they watch you at? I don't even know.
Well, for my music, it's darlaz.com, and so they can see all the videos and music that I've been putting out, and then on this show, it's Bootleggers Radio, and that's where you can see this video. You can see Richard and play it over and over and over and over.
Yeah, I think they've heard it. All right, cool. Let's go see some cars.
Catch the personal tour that Richard Rawlings gave us by visiting us at www.bootleggersmusicgroup.com. This very personal and up-close interview is something you do not want to miss. Visit Richard at www.GasMonkeyGarage.com and please support all his efforts.
You've been listening to Darla Z live from the Hollywood Room on Bootleggers Music Group Radio. Be sure to catch all our shows and music by downloading our app at bootleggersmusicgroup.com. Be sure to visit Darla at darlaz.com to listen to all her music and check out her music videos and other great stuff. Thanks for listening to Bootleggers Music Group Radio. Executive producer, Paul E. Jones.